You're listening to the Plumbing Sales Coach, where we give companies the strategies and skills to create a massive customer following.
Fresh.
Thank you for making us part of Spotify's top 10% most shared and followed podcast. And now, your host, Chris.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Fresh Approach. I'm your host, CF, the Plumbing Sales Coach, and this is episode number 333. That is 3 threes. And so how do we not talk about Omne, Trium, Perfectum again, which is 3 options? But today I'm going to talk about it from a slightly different perspective. The first thing I want to do with you guys is do a little bit of math. I want you guys to understand the situation your customers are in, because if your customers don't have choice or choices, then it makes it a lot harder for them to make a decision. They feel cornered. And so oftentimes when we offer a product or service or solution, the customer already has 3 choices. They have the choice of, yes, I can buy your product or service, or no, I'm not going to buy your product or service, or no, I'm not going to buy your product or service from you, but I'm going to buy it from someone else. And so that's really 3 different angles the customer can go. They can say, hey, I really like what this person has to say, but I think their price is expensive. So you've sold me on the concept, just not on you. And so I'm going to go to someone else. That's still a yes. It's just not a yes for you. Now they can just simply say, no, I'm never buying that product, because not only do I not care about the price, but I don't care about the solution. Or they can simply just buy it from you. That's 3 choices. That means you have a 33% chance of getting the yes. Episode 333 leads you to a 33% chance of getting a yes. Now, if you were to add in 3 options, meaning here's the product or solution, here's one option, here's the second option, here's the third option, then they still have the 2 no's. Now they have 3 yeses and 2 no's. They really have 4 yeses, but remember, one of the yeses is not with you, it's with someone else. Meaning I'm not going to buy the product or service from you, but I'm going to buy it from someone else. So they have the 3 choices from you, and then they have the 2 no's. Now they have a 60% chance of saying yes. That's a doubled increased opportunity, or a double increased, what's the word here? You're going to have twice the chance to get the job. Okay, that's just increasing, is doubling your success rate. And when you think about it like that, it's like, man, why wouldn't I offer 3 options? But something else happens. And there's a guy by the name of Russell Brunson who always says a confused mind says no. If you ever study that guy or follow that guy, he sells a lot of stuff online, does a lot of online sales. He talks about a confused mind always says no. When people are confused, they don't buy. If they don't understand the solution, they don't understand the pricing, they don't understand what the work is, if they don't understand what's going to happen or why it needs to happen or how it's going to happen, they cannot make the purchase. Now, what's crazy is they found that people understanding the why and the result will compensate for the how, meaning they don't necessarily need to know how you're going to dig the sewer line always. They just need to know what the result, what the benefit is going to be for them if you replace the sewer line. Same's true for a water heater, same's true for a toilet, same's true for a shower valve. They need to understand the benefit. What's in it for me as a consumer? What's in it for them? What are they going to get out of this? And when you think about it like that, it's like, okay, well, if these 3 solutions line up with their problems and their values, and if you've done a good job diagnosing and really discovery phase of asking questions and understanding what they're after and why they're after it, well, then you can custom tailor these 3 options to match up with what they want. Now, Omne, Trium, Perfectum would argue a whole nother set of psychology, that not only does a confused mind say no, not only does the math prove that they'll twice as likely to say yes if they have 3 options versus only 1 option, but now something else magical happens. The power of 3. People can only remember and retain so much. If I start teaching a class and I spend an hour teaching them 20 things, they're not going to remember all those 20 things. That's why at conferences, people say, hey, don't go to a conference and try to hear everything and learn everything. Just try to learn one thing that you can walk away with. Because it's impossible to go to a conference and catch everything. If you go to a good sermon, or you go to a good TED Talk, or you go to a good teacher and they want you to retain everything, they're usually going to teach you 3 things, just three points. They're going to make 3 points off one main point, and your brain's able to comprehend and calculate that. And the reason why this is important is because when we talk to these customers, a lot of times we're knocking on their front door, and 30 minutes later, 20 minutes later, we're saying, hey, these are your three ways to solve your problem. The first one, they probably called you out there for that. They're already familiar with that. They already know what that's about. But the other 2, could be new information. Could be either new information about how to fix the current problem, or it could be new information about other problems that exist in the home they weren't aware of or didn't know, and maybe they didn't realize they were all tied together, and maybe they didn't know there was some underlying issue like water condition, water pressure that was actually causing the bigger issue. Now all of a sudden you go out there for a drippy faucet and you're talking about water softeners. You go out there for a drippy faucet, you talk about PRVs. You start talking about PRVs, you have to start looking for expansion tanks. Start looking at expansion tanks, you got to look at age of the water heater. Whole lot more stuff's going to start coming up all of a sudden, right? And so now you have options. And if these three options are custom tailored to their values and their concerns, then, well, those three options are going to matter to them. They're going to be three viable solutions. Omne, Trium, and Perfectum would make the argument that the two no's just went out the window. Not only did the two no's go out the window, but now they're less worried about the price of option one and more about the price between option 1, 2, and 3. And that's a major adjustment in their brain. See, if they're, I remember when I used to do, just no options, I'd say, hey, this is going to be this amount of money. They'd always be like, why is it so much? Every customer, why is it so much? Every single customer, why is it so much? Can I get a breakdown on parts and labor? But when I started doing three viable options, three options that were considerate of their values and their concerns, well, then they just started comparing the three options. FOMO starts to kick in, actually, a whole new psychology. So not only are they able now to retain the three options and understand the three options, not only are they able to disregard the concept of number two, or of the two no's, and then not only are they stop this concept of wondering why option one is so expensive or the toilet rebuild is so expensive, they start looking at what they're missing out on. FOMO kicks in, what they're missing out on in options 2 and 3. And if you can make option 2 and 3 sweet, we teach something called value stacking, where it's like, hey, make option 3 a little bit more bang for their buck. If someone's going to come into the convenience store and just buy one Red Bull, and I gotta rent a building and keep all those cool, I got to keep not only all the 20 yellow Red Bulls cool that they want, but I got to keep 20 blue Red Bulls cool. I got to keep 20 regular Red Bulls cool, sugar-free Red Bulls cool. I got to keep apricot strawberry cool. Now I got to keep Monsters cool, because they might not want Red Bull. The next guy might want to come in and buy a Ghost energy drink or a bottle of Dr. Pepper or a bottle of water. So I got to keep all these things on hand just so they can come buy one thing. Yeah, that's going to be expensive. Now in a grocery store, if I can put 4 of them in one little pack called a 4-pack or a 6-pack or a 12-pack, I'll give you a little bit of better deal because you're buying 12 of them and not one. If you go to Costco, you buy the cow, not the gallon of milk. Make your own milk. It's a joke, but you get the point, right? You're buying like a keg of milk at Costco. Now you have to spend more money because you're buying more volume, but you get a better deal per ounce. Same thing should happen in the home. If a customer is going to make me drive to their home 30 minutes, spend 30 minutes with them, tell them what's going on, and then I only do 30 minutes worth of work, I got to recoup 2 hours, hour and a half of time. But if I drive to that customer's house for 30 minutes and talk to them for 30 minutes and they have me do 7 hours of work, well, I don't have to recoup that time because it's not going to happen again. Because if I do it with the first customer and I do it with the second customer and I do it with the third customer and I do it with the fourth customer, half of my day was working and half of my day was driving and talking. Well, I'm only getting paid for half my day, so I got to get paid more per hour to make up for the day. But if I'm getting paid for all 8 hours, I don't have to make as much per hour. Like $200 an hour at 4 hours is $800. But 8 hours at $125 an hour is $1,000. So it's more money just at a lower rate. The customer's not going to buy 8 hours at $200 an hour, but they would buy 8 hours at $125 an hour, so forth and so on. Think about that. If you can find a way to show them the value in spending more time with you, then you can spend more time with them, and then you could charge for more of your time of the day. You don't have to charge as much per hour because now you're charging for more hours. See, a lot of you are getting good at charging more per hour, but you're getting less hours sold during the day. So granted, you're not doing as much plumbing, but you're also not making as much as the other plumber. Do you want to get good at making more per hour or making more per day? A lot of you are playing the wrong game. There's a video out there that talks about increasing your value by Jim Rohn, Rohn. You need to go watch it. It'll break down the psychology of this, of how people will spend so much time trying to get more per hour. They'll switch jobs. They'll go back through training. They'll change their whole lives around, instead of focusing on how to become more valuable per hour. You want to become more valuable per hour. You want to solve more problems. The more problems you solve, the more value you have. Okay? This is crucial, because if you don't understand this, if you don't grasp this, you're going to go around playing the game, trying to get more for this, more for that. Customers are going to price object. You're going to feel insulted and be irritated half the day. People don't want to spend money. No one wants to fix nothing. They didn't want to do nothing. Yeah, they did. They just didn't want to do it at your pricing. They didn't want to do it at the way if I go into a home, I look at Service Titan. I love Service Titan. It's a great software, but I hate their value add thing, their add-ons. It's like some generic add-on. Like, hey, if you buy one emergency stop, it's $250. But if you buy another one, we'll give you 10% off. And then it's like, if they buy 10 more, they get one free. It's like, there's no value in that. They're going to say $250 if they spend another $3,000. That's wild. No one's going to buy that. It was funny. I was breaking this down for a company today. We were doing a one-on-one training, and I was Weco Plumbing in South Carolina. Great company, by the way, Columbia, I found it as the capital. Now, before you judge me, I did not go to college, so I don't always keep up with stuff. But Columbia is, in fact, the capital of South Carolina. I just learned that today, and I'm proud to share it with the rest of you. Also, for while we're at it, Harrisburg is the capital of PA. Found that out when I drove through Harrisburg about a couple months ago. It's pretty cool. I should have known better. I grew up in California. Everyone thought LA was the capital, but I was educated. I knew Sacramento was the capital, but I lived there. Okay, enough about my and education. So I was talking to this company this morning. We were talking about shower valves and shutoff jobs and angle stops, straight stops. And it was interesting. The concept of pricing was so different between the two, right? It's like, what do you charge for a shower valve? It's, $1,000 to $1,500, depending on whatever we're talking about here. We talking about the Trium. We talking about just the valve. What are we talking about? But it's like, $1,000 to $1,500, something like that. It's called $1,500. It's about a $250 part by the time you get the trim and the shower valve. It's about 4 hours of 3 hours. Some guys are like, it's 2 hours. If I get you into training, it's like 6 hours. But then when you're bragging to your friends, it's 2 hours. It's crazy. We all have these different answers, but it's about a 3-hour job, maybe 4 if you're just starting. Now, if you get into the emergency stops, all of a sudden we put 15 emergency stops in a home or something like that, 16 emergency stops. Maybe we got 3 in the kitchen. We got 3 angle stops in the kitchen. We got 5 angle stops in the master bathroom, 2 for each vanity and 1 for the toilet. Then let's say there's 2 other bathrooms, so you got 6 more, 3 per bathroom. So what are you at? 3 for each bathroom, that's 6. Plus the master bathroom has 5, that's 11 total. Then you got the 3 under the kitchen sink, 14. Maybe there's 1 more somewhere else. Whatever. We'll call it 14, 15, 16 shutoffs. I say, how long is that going to take? Same answer, but 3 to 4 hours. 2 to 4 hours. How much are the parts? Well, they're about $12 a piece, $10 a piece, $15 a piece. We're going to do 16 of them. You're about $180 to $240 in parts. It's on paper, it's the same job as the shower valve, but the pricing is totally different. For the shutoffs, it's 230 times 16, which is like $3,500, and then we'll give them 10% off. Takes it down to $3,150. But for the same work on the shower valve, now it's not the same job, it's not the same exact work, but it's same time, same material. We're at $1,500. Could you imagine if you showed those shutoffs at $1,500? How many more people would buy the shutoffs if they only had to pay for 8 and you did the other 8 for free? And how good of a deal does that sound to someone? Wait a minute. So you're going to charge me for 8 of them, you're going to do the other 8 for free? People are going to buy that so much faster than a percentage off or $1 off. And at the end of the day, those 8 shutoffs at $250 a piece, or 6 shutoffs at $250. Well, yeah, I said 8 shutoffs, $250. It's $2,000. You're still at $1,800, whatever, for the job. But people are getting something now. They see the value they're getting, and you can't do that without options, because the first option has to be the price to establish the value. The second option can be some sort of bundle deal. Maybe you do 6 of the shutoffs. Maybe you found 6 that weren't working and the rest of them were working, but they're just old multi-turn, crap shutoffs with plastic stems. You're like, really, I recommend you replace all of them. But the first option is I can just fix the one you called me out here for. Second option is I can replace the 6 we found. Or the third option is I can replace all of them. Well, now I can go, look, you pay for one in option 1. In option 2, you can pay for 5 of them, and I'll throw the one in I found, that you called me out here for. Or in the third option is buy 8, get 8 free. Now that FOMO comes in because they have to go, okay, do I spend $250 for one? Or do I get 16 for $1,600? That's a decision. They have to miss out on the 8 for free. And I wouldn't do, if you do 16, I'll do them at $100 a piece. That's not going to convert as fast as if you pay for 8, I'll give you 8 for free. The money will be the same, but the deal won't sound the same to the customer. See, Omne, Trium, Perfectum helps you understand the 3 options, but you add Omne, Trium, Perfectum to value stacking, and now you've got 3 options that hit. 3 options that are considerate of their concerns and values. You got to consider their concerns and values. I went on a call one time down in Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana. Not Monroe, sorry, not Lake Charles. I can't think right now. I'll figure it out. Lafayette, Louisiana. Next Plumbing. Man, if you're down in Lafayette, Louisiana, go work for Next Plumbing. Those guys are killers. Treat their guys right, treat their customers right, do it big revenue, lots of calls, because they're doing this stuff that we teach. They're killing it. Go check them out. But I was down there and I ran a call. It was right after a freeze. I know some of you are like, oh, well, that must have been this year. No, I know you guys also. I was supposed to come back down there. It's crazy. At the beginning of this year, and my flight was going to land the day you guys got all that snow. So this wasn't that one. This was a year before this. You had a freeze. And I went on a call to one of your not as wealthy neighborhoods. It was a little bit of a more budget-friendly neighborhood. And when I went in, the son of the mom had been trying to fix the problem. So what happened was the CPVC pipes froze. They got a couple leaks. He fixed the leaks. And basically just the next weakest link. So this just kept happening. The line kept failing on him. Finally, he fixed, I think he said he made 5 repairs, and the 6th one was this emergency stop, this angle stop for the toilet in the back bathroom. So when I get there, that's the one that's blown out. Water's off to the house. Talk to him about replacing that emergency stop. He knows he needs a repipe at this point because he's already made 5 repairs on the line in the last 2 days. So I said, hey, the thing you called me out here for is this angle stop. So I'm going to give you an option for that. Obviously, you need a repipe. So that's going to be my second option. So what I did was I went through the home, looked at everything. And then when I was sitting down with him, I was like, look, and then now the daughter's there, the mom's there, everyone's there. I said, look, here's how we could do this. We could do I know you guys don't want to just do the angle stop, but just to put some value so you understand. If I was to do that one angle stop, it'd be around $250. When I repipe this house, you're going to have, you have 12 of these emergency stops. That's going to be included. So you're going to get 12 of those. So they immediately went 12 times $250, $3,000. Boom. Just like that in their own heads. I didn't say that out loud. I just said one is 12 or one is $250 and the repipe's going to come with 12. So bam, now there's $3,000 of value on this repipe. We start talking about the repipe. I'm like, normally if I was to do it section by section, it's going to come out to close to like 9 or 10K. But because we're doing it all at once, it was a crawl space. It was a single, 1 story, 2 bathrooms, not a lot. 2 bathrooms, laundry room, and kitchen, if I'm not mistaken. I think the main sewer line went 10 from the house to like maybe 10 or 15 feet out the house till it tied in. It was a really just right there, boom, and real easy one. And so I think we quoted like around $6,800. So think about this. I just quoted $6,800, but there's $3,000 of value now in their head based on just the emergency stop. So now for $6,800, they get all that plus all the repipe. It's like, do you feel how they're like, dang, this is a good deal? And I told them, hey, we're going to do contractor pricing because basically it's wholesale because we're going to be out here and just knock it all in one shot. So you're going to have a lot of volume for us. And then I said this little doozy. $6,800, by the way, for this particular job, for this particular company, I think it was an 8-hour, it ended up being 8 hours for one guy and an apprentice. And $6,800 was their book. It was their retail price for that job. So I wasn't really discounting anything. I was just stacking value. so they understood what they were getting. And then I did this. I said, now, if you guys go with the repipe, I noticed that the toilet back there had some cracks in the tank that had been sealed. And I also noticed your kitchen faucet, it was just a little Delta 400 with the little arm on the side, or with the little sprayer on the side. I said, if you guys like that model right there and you go with the repipe, I'd like to go ahead and just reset the clock on your kitchen faucet. And I'd like to reset the clock on that toilet and replace both those for you, no charge. That was about $300 worth of stuff that I had to go buy to install. I was already going to be doing a repipe. It was no big deal. Think about that. Could you imagine going up to someone and saying, normally it's $6,800, but if you do it today, I'll give you $300 off. No one's buying that. That's 5% off. No one's buying. It's 4% off. No one's buying that. But a free toilet is $600 or $700 of value. A free faucet's another stuff. So now they're getting $1,400 off. And I just magically turned a couple $100 of parts into $1,400 of value, along with the shutoffs that come along with it for another $25. They're at $4,000 of free stuff in their $6,800 repipe. And I'm really not giving anything away for free except for the faucet and the toilet. And really all I'm doing there is investing about an hour of work of labor that's already going to be tied into the 8 hours of work I'm doing, and a little bit of parts and material to increase my discount. So instead of trying to get them to go $6,800 for $3,000 off, it's $6,800 and I'll give you $3,000 of bonus value. Actually, in this case, like $43, because it was $3,000 for the shutoffs, $700 for the toilet, and then another $600 or $700 for the faucet. You're like, $4,300 of value. Now to get in the house repipe for $2,500. They're not, but they are in their head. See, that's the magic. I call it value shocking instead of sticker shocking. Value shocking instead of price shocking. See, people get price shock. They get sticker shock. Heck yeah, I want the plasma until I saw it was $10,000. Heck yeah, I want the new whatever until I saw how much it costs. Hey, when you come to the Colts game, where do you want to sit? In the suite? How much is it again? Oh, well, what do you got up in the nosebleeds? Never mind. Because you're like, I can't afford that. Sticker shock. Bam. People come knock on my front door and they're like, hey, sir, how you doing? I'm like, what's the final cost? Are you offering me something for $5? Because I'd like to save my time right now and just give you the $5 and end this conversation. And if you're asking for $10,000, I'm not even in the market for whatever you have. So let's also not waste our time and let's send you on your way. And if it's like $500, I'm like, this sounds like a real decision that I wouldn't be buying at my front door. So never mind. Because I know that the price matters, but it's not because of how much money I have. It's just because of where I'm at mentally, of what I'm willing to spend on that thing or with that person. You got to value shock people. They don't want to spend $6,800, but they also don't want to miss out on $4,000 worth of free stuff. They don't want to spend $6,800, but they don't want to miss out on that free stuff. And you put them in a pickle. They got to make that decision now. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're just offering them a good deal. There's nothing wrong with offering people a good deal. There's something wrong with trying to get people to buy stuff they don't need or want. I hope you heard this one today, because this is powerful. This is how I move so much sales in forget about service plumbing. This is how I've done it with everything. This is how I do it with our own program that we sell. We value stack. Omne, Trium, Perfectum. 3 options. Always. Got to believe in that. Remember this. It's a psychological game. Selling is not a task-driven concept. It is a psychological war. There is a mental war going on between you and the customer, and you can be on their side and advocate for them. It doesn't have to be you against them, but it is a mental war, and the mental war is really just between themselves and themselves, to be honest with you. If you can show them the value and you can show them the benefits, they're going to want to do it. Whether they can afford it or not is a different story. You can't ever fix that. You can offer financing, you can do different things, but you can't really fix that. In fact, when I deliver my options, I'll say which one makes the most sense. I say, I really want to do number 3, but I just don't think I can swing it. If they say something like that, then I say, hey, you know what? Let me ask you this. Would it help if I offered you a way to make payments on it? If they say, yeah, then I provide financing. I don't say, do you want financing? I say, would it help if you could make payments? It's another way of thinking about value stacking. Just got to really get this stuff down. It's a psychological game. I love you guys. Remember, serve your communities and everything, not just plumbing. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Plumbing Sales Coach podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check us out on the web at theplumbingsalescoach.com.